Good morning, everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you to the first session of Interview Guidance Program. As you know, this program has been started this time right after the mains examination to provide you the right direction and the preparation strategy for the personality test. Under the guidance of Mr. Anil Swarup sir, former Coal Secretary to Government of India, this program has consistently providing assistance in the last 3 years to the many aspirants in building confidence, calm, and composure for the personality test. To begin with, we will first run a short video on how to prepare for the personality test, a strategy shared by Anil Swarup sir, which will set the foundation for the today's discussion. Following that, Anil Swarup sir will be joining us and will be interacting with all of you. Here, you can ask your queries, doubts directly with the sir. I would advise you, if you have any query during the video, just write it down so that you can ask directly from the sir after the video. So without further delay, let's start the session with the video. Please run the video.
StudyIQ IAS, आपका सिलेक्शन हमारा मिशन.
Hello everyone, welcome to this session on how to prepare for the personality test. First of all, my compliments to all those that have qualified for this personality test. To my mind, UPSC Civil Service examination is one of the toughest examinations. So you should pat yourself on the back. Amongst lakhs of aspirants who appeared for the preliminary exam and the main exam, you've qualified. This should give you enormous amount of confidence. And let me tell you, confidence is the key to success in personality test, because those that are looking at you would want a confident civil servant. But there are many more attributes that are required. And what I'll try and do today is, in the period that is now available to you till the time you appear before the board, what you should do. And I will try and use my own experience, the experience that I had in appearing before the Civil Service Board. I appeared twice in the Civil Service examination. First year, I qualified for the police service, and second year, I made it to the IAS. And the difference was the personality test. In the first year, I got around 55% marks. In the second year, I got 80%, probably the highest in the country. What did I do during that 1 year to get such an increase in the marks which I did? And I'll share my experience with you, as also the experience of many aspirants like you that we have guided here at StudyIQ to qualify for the civils exam. And the results have been quite remarkable. Last year, in around 280, 290 aspirants who came to us for a personality test, 163 made it to the civil services, and a large number in the IAS, the foreign service, and the police service. So we've done a lot of research here to understand as to how should you approach a personality test board. And in that context, I will suggest that you look at 3 important questions that you need to answer here. The first and the foremost question here is, what is the board looking for? Because without understanding what the board is looking for, you probably will run in a different direction and you will not succeed. If you understand what the board looks at or is looking for, then probably you will prepare yourself accordingly. But if you're not fully conversant with what board marks, as we discovered in the past 5-6 years that we interacted with aspirants, they have got all sorts of advice on how to prepare for personality test, and many of them moved in the wrong direction. So we'll try and tell you what is the board looking for. The second is, once you know what the board is looking for, how do you go about preparing yourself? You know, you've reached this distance and this is the last hurdle. What changes or what new things that you have to learn, or maybe hone your existing skills to qualify and to do well in the personality test? And finally, on the day of the interview or on the day of the personality test, how should you conduct yourself? What should you wear? How should you enter? All these things are very important. You should not be conscious of it, but if you get into the practice of doing what you got to do, then it will become your second nature and you will do it very naturally. So let's take these questions one by one. Let's look at what the board is looking at. This is very important because whether in the private sector or public sector or talking to your dad or your friends, you are trying to market your ideas or product or service. That's what you're doing. And in doing that, whether in the private sector or otherwise, you look at what exactly does the person want. If they want a black color, you will try and create that black color. If they want a particular taste, you create that taste. But without knowing what the person wants, you can't prepare your own stuff and say, he will like it. You have to prepare the stuff or prepare yourself in a manner that you are able to present yourself so that that person starts liking you or your ideas. So that's what we are looking at. And what are they looking at? First thing to understand is that this is not an interview. It's a personality test. What is the difference? In interview, they are primarily seeking your understanding, your knowledge. They may even grill you. But in a personality test, the UPSC is actually trying to get the best out of you. So there will be very rare occasions where we will try and grill you, because they are trying to know what is the best part of you. And there are a number of aspects that emerge out of this understanding of what board wants from you. If you don't know an answer in an interview, probably it will be held against you. But in a personality test, as I'll explain later as well, that a no shows your integrity, that you're not fibbing. You have the courage to say that you don't know. So that's the difference between personality tests. They're looking at overall persona of you, overall personality of yours, rather than only knowledge or your ability to express. Of course, these are very important constituents even in personality, but that's not the only evaluation they're doing. So as I said earlier, don't be too hassled about being pushed to a wall, pushed to a corner. Normally, this doesn't happen. Very rarely would you find a member on the board asking you or pushing you to a corner. They will make you very comfortable. That's been my personal experience. That's been experience of a large number of aspirants who came back to us after having given the personality test and gave their feedback, that they make you very, very comfortable. So don't be nervous at all. If you have this in mind, that they are not going to push you to the wall, it will give you enormous amount of confidence. So it's a personality test. There are certain personality traits they are looking at. They are not looking at your knowledge only. In fact, knowledge has already been tested in your written examinations. So they're not actually looking at your knowledge. They are more looking at your understanding of issues. And that's a part of your personality. They're also looking at how is your articulation? How do you express yourself? Because so far you have only been reading and writing. Now you're going to speak, and your articulation has to improve, because you may have things sitting here in your mind. You may have written down in the examination, but the board will get to know you on the basis of what you speak and what is your body language. Both are equally important. So articulation becomes very important. I'll come back to you and tell you how do you improve your articulation. The other part is whether what you are presenting is logical. One argument flows from the other. If it is not logical, then just speaking or just articulating doesn't help. So you have to be logical. Whether you are reasonable in your approach, that's another very important aspect, that if you are not reasonable in your presentation, if you make an unreasonable statement and you try and defend it, it will go against your personality. And there has to be coherence, meaning thereby you can't say one thing and say another thing in the same breath. There has to be coherence in your thought process. All these three are related. Your logic, rational expression, and coherence, these are related. So whatever you are saying has to be not only logical, not only be rational, it has to be coherent, meaning even the logic has to be coherent, the articulation has to be coherent. So this is very important. And in the subsequent slides, I will try and explain how to develop this. This is very important. However, the most important aspect that the board is looking at, and you must be very careful about it, is your attitude. They are looking at whether you are able to respond in a manner to convey that you are not overawed by the situations. You are not overawed by the problem. You are not becoming a part of the problem. What you are trying to do is to look at solutions. Mind you, they don't want solutions from you, because wherever they present before you, probably there are no solutions. But they are looking at whether you look at it positively, whether you're looking at the positive aspect of the problem that is given so as to find a solution. Because as a civil servant, you will be coming across a lot of situations where you have to come out with a solution. And as I keep saying, it's not a question of merely arriving at a solution, or you may not arrive at a solution, whether you are moving in a positive direction, whether you are only critical whether you are only looking at the negative aspect, you're not looking at the positive aspect, as a civil servant, you will be in trouble. And that is why the board is very particular about looking at this aspect of personality, that whether you are positive in your dispensation or not. They might give you problems there. They might give a situation to you. They will not, as I keep saying, they may not seek a final solution from you, because there would be tricky situations, but they will look at the approach that you adopt, whether you have analyzed that problem, whether you looked at that problem, and that analysis and examination of that problem is enabling you to move in a positive direction to find a solution. So the most critical part that the board is looking at is your ability to look at issues positively, and that is something that you should work on. Then you have to be aware about recent happenings. Any person who wishes to become a civil servant has to be aware of his surroundings. He should be aware of what is happening in the place where he stays, what is happening around, what is happening in the world, and we will delve into details on how to be aware, what are the areas that you got to be aware. But awareness is something they're looking at. Mind you, they're not looking at expertise at your end, but like any informed citizen of the country, and more so since you plan to become a civil servant, it is expected of you to be fully conversant with what is happening around you. If, for example, if someone asks you what are the implications of the tariff imposed by Donald Trump at this point in time, you can't say, sir, I don't know, because that is something which everyone knows. You may have a different opinion, you may have a particular opinion, that's a different matter, but you can't say that I don't know, because that is something which is expected of you, so on and so forth. Probably we'll take some more examples as we go along. Then the place where you're staying. As we have examined a lot of interviews that have happened in the past, we've got the transcript of personality tests that aspirants like you have given in the past, and we find that a number of questions are indeed asked about the place where you've been, whether you've studied there, whether you lived there, or you spent some time in a particular profession in a particular place. You got to know that. And finally, hobbies. You would have already indicated hobbies in your DAF as you would have submitted. Now, we must understand the difference between hobbies and a profession. Hobby is something which you do when you are free, when you have free time. So you're not supposed to be an expert in that area, but certainly you would know more than a person who just heard that word. So if you say you are fond of reading, then you can't, if someone asks you which is the last book that you read, you can't say I don't remember, because that you ought to remember which book you read or who's your favorite author. These are the logical questions that come out of it. In due course, as we take more and more sessions here at StudyIQ, we'll go into the DAF details and see what sort of questions are asked. But as of now, I'm only suggesting that you must brush up your understanding of your hobbies. If you don't know the details of what your hobby is, it doesn't really matter, but you should know more than a common man on that particular aspect or that particular hobby. This, to my mind, is a fundamental principle, and many of those that appear in the personality test are nervous because they think they do not have a detailed knowledge. As I mentioned earlier, they have already tested your knowledge before. The knowledge part has been tested in the written examination. They are no more testing your knowledge. And that is why I keep saying you must understand the difference between awareness and knowledge. You should be aware and some details of it, but you don't have to become expert at that. Your knowledge is not being tested, and this is very important, because if you start believing that you should know everything before going personally to the board, then you could be in trouble, because I don't think you can arrive at that position where you know everything. You don't have to know everything, but you should know well what you should know, what you know. You can't have, you can't say that this is something I know and you don't know the details of it. If you know, you should know it well. If you don't know, as I also mentioned subsequently, the best answer is, sir, I don't know. And I'm telling you this because in the second year, when I gave my examination, almost 20 to 25% questions that were asked of me, I said, I don't know, sir. And I got wonderful marks. So it is not material. If you say no to it, it actually reflects your integrity, that, as I mentioned earlier, you have the courage to admit that you don't have knowledge in that particular area, and that will not be held against you. Now, how do you prepare for civil service interview board or personality test? I had initially mentioned to you that one of the important aspects that the board is looking at is your articulation. You know, the problem is that in the past year and a half or maybe 2 years, you've been reading and writing, but you've not been sufficiently speaking. Personality test is all about speaking. You have to speak it out, and hence it is important for you to improve your verbal communication skills. That is how you speak. And here there are suggestions that I have to offer for you. As soon as your mains exam get over, or if they already got over, or you got an interview call, without any delay, follow the following protocol, following drill. All of you must be reading some newspaper. Open the editorial page of that newspaper, pick up one of the editorial articles, stand in front of a mirror and read the article aloud, slowly but loudly, pronouncing each word clearly, and record what you are reading out. Now, why should you do that? The reason is very simple. As I said, you have been earlier only reading and writing. You've not been speaking. Now the question here is, you should speak as much as you can. I mean, there are other ways of having conversations with your friends, with your relatives, with your other colleagues. You can have conversations. That also is very important. But this is a drill that you should do regularly, without fail, every day. And I can assure you, within a month, you will see an improvement if you do it regularly. Stand in front of a mirror, select an editorial article and read it aloud in front of a mirror, as I said, and record it in your phone. Why record it? Because you will understand where you are missing out, where you are unable to pronounce the word correctly. And through this, you will be able to improve. Regularly record it, and you will see the improvement over a period of time as you do. Because usually what happens is, I don't know whether it happened with you, with me it used to happen that I used to have a particular thought in my mind, but when it came to speaking it out, I didn't get the right word to speak it out. The fluency does not come without practice, so you have to practice it. Friends, when I passed my class 12, I had science as my subjects, and I switched over to humanities, and I could barely speak or write 5 sentences in English or Hindi. This is the drill that I went through. Of course, when I used to read this newspaper in front of a mirror, those days we did not have mobile phones, so I couldn't record it. But my friends who watched me do that used to laugh at me. I don't know what they are doing now. I'm certainly laughing, because it helped me so enormously that I continued with the drill for a long time. My suggestion to you is, do that without failure. In the beginning, you'll curse me. In the beginning, you'll find it very difficult to read because you haven't done it before. But do that. Once you start enjoying once you start enjoying reading it loudly, you won't miss it out, because you see the improvement yourself. So that's the first part of the drill. Stand in front of a mirror, read the editorial article, one editorial article aloud in front of a mirror, and record it. After you've read it, keep the newspaper down and speak it out in your own words. This will be tougher than the first one, because first is simple reading. You know what you're reading. But here, you may have to recall what you've read. Some of it you may not have understood, but nonetheless speak it out. In the beginning, again, you will fumble. Again, perhaps you will curse me and say, what is this going on? But do it. Speak it out and record it in your phone. There again, recording would help you understand where you are going wrong, and it will help you improve. Once you've done these 2 things regularly, what this will help is, it will improve your articulation, if you improve your presentation, it will improve your diction. More than that, since all these articles are written by people of repute, men of letters, you will understand how an idea has to be built, how an idea has to be presented. They are all very logically written articles. They are very analytical in nature. So all the attributes that the board is looking at, your analytical skills, your logical presentation, all that will come to the fore if you do it regularly. Doing it regularly for a month will make you think logically, will make you speak logically, and your articulation will improve. But I am repeating this. If you don't do it regularly, it won't help. So this is the first part of improving your articulation. The second part is that you should constitute into WhatsApp group. In my time, we did not have WhatsApp group. Fortunately, when I qualified for the police service and then appeared for the IAS, we had a large number of people who had qualified for the personality test. So we constituted these groups at the police academy, but these groups are very, very useful. What these groups do is that every day this group of 4 or 5 people or 6 people, they discuss a particular current topic. There is a principal speaker who leads the discussion, speaks for 10 minutes, and then each person apart from him comments on that. Now you can say that, sir, no one is going to answer a question for 10 minutes. That is not the issue here. If you can speak logically for 10 minutes, obviously you can speak for a minute or 2 minutes when a question is asked of you. It's a question of bringing about that fluency in your speech, your ability to express without any hindrance the ideas that come to your mind, and those ideas structured so logically that whatever you speak appears very logical. This is something which comes over a period of time. It won't happen overnight, but if you read the newspapers as suggested by me and then speak it out in the WhatsApp group discussions, you will see the improvement yourself. Of course, these two are very important drills for you to improve your articulation and logical presentation. Apart from them, obviously, you should try and speak to whoever you can speak to as much as you can. But mind you, speak in the language that you're going to give your interview. Let me clarify to you, in my time, we had to give our interview in English. But now you can give it in the language that you want. You would have given that language, whatever that language. अगर आपको हिंदी में अपना ये साक्षात्कार देना है, तो आप ये प्रयास कीजिए कि समस्त आप चर्चा जिससे भी कर रहे हैं वो हिंदी में करें, जिससे आपको स्वाभाविक रूप से अपनी जो मस्तिष्क में आपके विचार आ रहे हैं उनको स्वाभाविक रूप से आप प्रस्तुत कर सकें. ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है. It is important for you to start thinking, eating, drinking, everything in the language that you are going to appear before the interview board. All languages are very good, but it's a question of getting into the habit. This should become a second nature, your ability to express your thoughts. So this is what I was mentioning here. I have mentioned the Hindu as the newspaper. You can pick up any newspaper. This is just by way of an example that I gave. Any newspaper is good enough. All newspapers, editorial articles are written by people of repute, so it would help you. Then I also mentioned about group discussions. This is critical because in group discussions, you will know how to express yourself. This will become a habit to you. So an issue comes before you, you are able to articulate it if you have discussed in the group. Then of course, mock interviews can be of enormous help. My suggestion about mock interviews is that get a mock interview going right in the beginning, because through a mock interview, you will be able to assess yourself. That assessment is important as to what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and you work on those weaknesses. As you move towards closer to your date of personality test, my suggestion is don't go in for too many mock interviews, because if they tell you something at that point in time, it will be difficult for you to change, and knowing your shortcomings, you will become nervous about it. That's my suggestion. There are other people who say other things that have 12 mock interviews one day before the interview board. My personal view is have mock interviews in the beginning to make an assessment. To my mind, mock interviews basically to make an assessment of yourself. If the people who are interviewing you have an understanding of individual, they probably will be able to point out what exactly is going wrong. Here in StudyIQ, we would be having mock interviews, but apart from that, I will be holding one-on-one session with the aspirants. The attempt would be to understand that aspirant and then try and guide him as to how should he improve his presentation before the board. This is much more individual than something in a group. So at StudyIQ, we will have this provision of aspirants who are desirous of interaction with me. I will be taking on one-on-one session. These could be virtual sessions. This could be actually physical sessions. So last 3 years, I've been having both physical interaction with individuals as well as virtual interaction. I would be personally available to all those that seek guidance, and we will start this free guidance program very soon. It is all free. No one has to pay anything for that. But if you want to seek that guidance, you will have to fill a particular form. We will announce it in the social media. You fill that form and then we will guide you. There are a number of assistance, a lot of assistance that we provide apart from mock interview, as well as one-on-one guidance from me. Now, these are some other aspects for preparing for civil service. Study the details of the hobbies that you've given. As I said, you don't have to become an expert, but you must know some fundamental information about that. Actually, hobby is something which interests you, which you like, okay? But when you like something, you better know a bit more than a usual man on the street about that. So if you, as I said, reading or music, if you give music as a hobby, then you should know something about the music. You may not have the detailed understanding of various rags. You don't have to have that, but you should know the difference between, say, a northern classical music or Carnatic music or Western music. If you have given music as a hobby, some additional knowledge will certainly be required of you. Similarly, places of stay, where you're staying. If you're staying in, say, if you stayed in Varanasi or Bhopal or Mumbai, you should know what are the issues that afflict that area. Any common citizen should be aware of the problems in the area that they live, or for that matter, anything in the current news. If it's happening, something has happened in the recent past, you are expected to know a bit more than the man on the street. So you better brush up your understanding of the recent events relating to the place that you're staying or the places you would have stayed earlier. So probably if you've done your engineering some place and some event has happened there, then it is expected that you should be aware of what is happening in the place where you studied. I keep saying, it's a question of awareness. You should be aware of your surroundings, the current surroundings and surroundings of the places where you spent some time, whether by way of education or profession. There's another thing. If you are in an existing profession and you are switching over to civil service, or you are in one civil service and switching over to another civil service, like I switched over from police to the IAS, I had anticipated this question that they would ask me, why do you want to switch over from police to the IAS? You should better be prepared for that. Similarly, if you are in a private sector and you now want to join civil service, they may ask you questions on that. You better be prepared for that. So whatever DAF becomes a very critical part of your questions that could be asked of you. As I said earlier, we in StudyIQ will be taking a special or a couple of sessions on DAF related questions, but you should look at DAF very closely, see what are things that you mentioned there. There would be many questions emanating out of it for the simple reason. The reason is very simple. What do the board know about you? They know about you through the DAF. The detailed application form that you filled is the only document available to them, apart from you sitting in front of them, that they know of you. And it is on the basis of that. So one is what you've written in DAF. The other is the general awareness part, what is happening around you. These would be covered here. So, and for the optional, my suggestion here is, usually, I mean, I've hardly come across anybody being asked about questions on the optional they have opted. However, if there are current happenings relating to the subject that you've taken, so if you are you've taken political science and international relations, then you better brush up the current international relation issues so that they could ask you questions on that. Or if you studied history, then there are some issues coming up relating to history now in India. You better be aware of that. So you should be aware of the current relevance of the optional subject that you've opted. It is extremely critical for you to know that, because if you studied that subject for a particular purpose, then it is expected of you that you should know the current relevance or current happenings in that particular subject. Then newspapers. This I have always felt that should be a habit in any case. You would have be over with your mains exam when you listen to me. It does not mean that you stopped reading newspaper. Newspaper should be habit even otherwise, because of the inquisitive nature that human being has. You should be inquisitive about what's happening. So newspapers are critical. I have always said 3 pages in newspapers are very important for anybody, not merely for personality test, even otherwise. One is the editorial page. I mean, read the entire editorial page, because it brings the gist of what's going on, apart from analyzing what's going on. So that's the most important page of any newspaper that you read. So read this thoroughly, and if possible, discuss what is written in the newspaper with somebody. The second page in newspaper is about economy. Apart from the market related news items, I think you should read the rest of it. And third is the page on international events. So to me, these 3 pages are important. And of course, some events that are taking place in the sports arena, because there could be some sportsman sitting there, or a person interested in sport could be asking questions of you. Newspapers should be the primary input for you, because newspaper will not only discuss the news, they will discuss certain other issues that are important. That should be your primary concern till the time you have your personality test. Now, having prepared yourself the way I have suggested, What do you do on the day of the board? First, you should be confident about yourself. How do you be confident? As I said in the beginning, you should give yourself a pat on the back because you have been selected amongst around 2,000 persons who are going to appear before the personality test out of lakhs of people who appeared. So you've done well. And that pat on your back will give you a lot of confidence. Number two, you must also realize that everyone is as tentative as you are. In a competition, you're not alone. Everyone who's entering the personality test or interview board, appearing before them, would be a bit nervous, and it's very natural to be a bit nervous. Don't worry about it. It's very, very natural. The confidence should come to you from your past successes, that you have done well in your mains exam. And I would also like to inform you, not that you're not going to qualify, most of you, or at least 1/3 of you will certainly qualify, who appear this year or year thereafter. The rest of them, everything is not lost. A lot of public sector undertakings are picking up people who've qualified in the mains exam, could not qualify ultimately. They are being picked up by public sector undertakings. And I'm told that UPSC has taken decision to make the names of those that don't qualify ultimately available even to the private sector. So there are huge opportunities available to you. You already crossed that level where the chances of you getting employed are very high, even if you don't qualify for the civil service. So don't worry about it. The worry part is going to make you nervous. So you don't have anything to worry. You've done well, qualified over the mains, there you are. So how do you dress when you go in? It's very important. Dress in a manner that you feel comfortable. Let me give you a personal example. When I was appearing, I think in 1980 for first time in my personality test, my dad, he belonged to the traditional people. He pushed me to wearing a suit. I had never worn a suit ever before. I felt very uncomfortable. Not that it impacted, no one asked me a question on wearing a suit or anything, but I did feel physically uncomfortable. Next year when I qualified, I said, I'm going to go very comfortably inside. I didn't wear a suit. I was just wearing a, off-white shirt and a pant, and I went inside. I felt comfortable and probably did well. I don't know whether it impacted the outcome of my personality test, but the point that I'm trying to make here is you should wear something which you are comfortable in. Things like don't wear a new pair of shoes because they may creak and you may feel uncomfortable. Don't wear a cloth or don't wear clothes which are absolutely new, just bought from the market. You would have worn a few times. All these are minor issues, but any discomfort somewhere will impact your presentation before the board. So wear something comfortable. And to the ladies, I would suggest, it's not a fashion show. Wear whatever you feel comfortable in, a very decent one. For males also, if you sport a beard, then it should be trimmed. It should not be a flowing beard. If you have a typical hairstyle, which is these days, I don't know, variety of hairstyles have come. My suggestion is go with a normal hairstyle. And if you do want to go with a, I don't know, those spiked hair or whatever, you should be prepared for some questions. So it's for you to take a call on what you want to wear, but be comfortable with whatever you go in. So that's important. That's the first point I mentioned here, that it's not a fashion show. So don't try and, your clothes that you wear are not going to give you marks. So don't worry about what you wear. Be comfortable. If it's hot and humid at that point in time, then there's no point in wearing a jacket. But if you are okay with jacket, you can go. Probably it will be air conditioned inside. So that's fine. But be comfortable in whatever you are wearing. Then the second part is extremely important. It's a part of communication skills. Communication skills is not merely speaking out what you know. It's not one-way communication. Listening is a very important part of communication. You have to not only listen attentively to what is being asked of you, but you have to appear to be listening. If you don't convey this impression that you are listening, not listening intently, it will be treated as a negative point for you. So very carefully listen to them and don't interrupt a person when he's speaking. The formula is very simple. If the board member interrupts you when you're speaking, you should stop immediately. But if the board member is speaking, then you will not interrupt him. Sometimes in the excitement of knowing an answer, you interrupt and start answering the question even before that answer is completed. That will be a negative point for you. Don't ever interrupt a board member. It is suggested that give a pause of a couple of seconds after the board member has completed his question, so that if he wants to add anything, he can. And those 2 seconds will also give you time to think. It's very important. If you're jumping onto an answer, you've not given it a thought as you should. Those 2-3 seconds after he's completing his sentence, there's no harm in pausing, reflecting on what he said, and then responding to the question. It will give an impression to people there that you are not responding to them without a thought. So a pause of 2 seconds or 3 seconds of pause after the questions are completed is well worth it. Try and do that. Of course, you are not there to win an argument. Again, very important. Your job is not to, you can disagree with the board, but very politely, but you don't have to win an argument and say that what I'm saying is correct. It's extremely important, because here again, the board or you are not settling an argument. You are presenting your point of view. The board member may have a point of view. They'll ask you a question. So I'll give you an example from my own test in the second year. These board members, they have to sit through the day. They get very tired. One of the reasons why I have not gone to UPSC as member, they've invited me here and state. I didn't go because I don't have the courage to sit through the day and keep taking interviews. I can't. But there are guys who are sitting there, and many of them are thoroughly bored. My interview, the second year, was the last one during the day. So everyone looked very tired and bored. One of the members was actually reading a book as others were asking me questions. Okay. So when his turn came, he read out a sentence from a book and asked me, Mr. Saru, what do you make out of this sentence? So when he completed his sentence, I said, sir, I don't know the background of this statement, so it may not be appropriate of me to answer that question. He said, no, you answered it the way you want to, so I answered it. When I answered it, he said, no, but the book has a different point of view. So I said, sir, that's precisely what I was saying. My humble request is, sir, I cannot respond to a question unless I know the background. If I would have read the book, probably I would have answered your question in a better manner. But this is my point of view based only on reading of what you said. So the point that I'm trying to make here is, board members will ask you all sorts of questions. They will not grill you, but they may ask you any sort of question. You should be prepared to answer that question, and hence a pause of 2, 3, 4 seconds, 5 seconds help you reflect on what you're saying, and also conveys an impression to the board members that you are not impulsive in your response. You think before you speak. So it is well worth it. Certainly not try and win an argument, because every issue which is not settled so far in the society will be discussed or could be discussed. If that is discussed, then how can you, as a youngster of say 25, 26 years, have an argument with a person there? You may have a point of view, present your point of view firmly and politely, but don't try and win that argument, because every issue, there could be different point of view. In subsequent sessions that we'll take, I will be discussing sensitive questions that could be asked of you and how should you respond to them. You should make up your mind in a manner that you don't unnecessarily end into, so to say, a quarrel with the board member, because you're not settling issues there. You are just stating your point of view. You can say, sir, you may be right, sir, but this is what I feel based on the facts that are on my command or the knowledge that I have on the issue. So you can concede that point. It does not mean that you're flippant or you're not sure of yourself. You're merely conceding that you appreciate somebody else's point of view, and that's a very positive attitude in one's personality. Then, first point, critical. Never guess a fact. Either you know a fact or you don't know a fact. If the board member contests the facts that they give you, then you can politely say, sir, this is what I read, but maybe I could be wrong. I read it long ago and may be wrong. By saying that, you're not conceding his point, or you're not appearing to be flippant, or you're not appearing to be unsure. You are saying what you said, but you appreciate the point of somebody else. So facts cannot be guessed. Now, sometimes the board members will ask you, okay, guess. Then you guess, but not on your own. Sir, I think this is it. No, it doesn't work. For fact, you don't think. For opinions, you can think. But fact is a fact. Either you know it or you don't know it. You don't think a fact, you know a fact. So this difference has to be understood, that when a fact is asked of you, usually they will not be asking factual questions. Usually they are not asked. But if they do ask you, Answer only if you know the facts. Don't try and guess that until you're asked to guess that fact. The second part is more critical, is the opinion part. There you can have a different opinion. Opinions could be different. Board member may have a different opinion. You may have a different opinion. If you have the reasons for having that opinion, mention them. This opinion also on occasions will have to be based on facts. And you can mention those facts. Again, those facts could be contested by the board member. You can politely say, sir, this is what I understood. This is what I read. I may be wrong. There's no harm in saying that. Opinions could vary. Opinions will vary. In a democracy, in a discussion, different people will have different opinions. So you can have a different opinion. But facts you cannot have. So that's what I've written here. Opinion should always be backed with facts to validate. But the second part is again crucial. At your age and seniority, you're not supposed to know the ultimate answers relating to issues, the ultimate solutions to the issues. You can only suggest or present your point of view on the basis of certain facts you have. Now, many people have asked me, sir, you keep telling us to use these phrases like based on limited information that I have, in my opinion, probably, in all likelihood. If you use these phrases, won't we appear to be unsure? No, you won't appear to be unsure. You are being only humble in saying that your opinion, your current opinion, is based on the facts at command. If new facts come to light, you are open to changing your opinion. So you are not, you're not saying that what you're saying is wrong. What you're saying is that based on the facts at your command at this point in time, you have a particular point of view, but you have an open mind. If new facts come to light, you are prepared to rethink. So you are not appearing as a person like a pighead that what you're saying is right, because you can't determine what is the ultimate truth. Ultimate truth is not known as yet. So you are making your comment or presenting your opinion based on your knowledge at this point in time. If the knowledge frame changes, if more knowledge comes to, if more facts come to your, you come to know of more facts, then obviously you'll have to rethink. You should know that you should rethink. Because again, as a civil servant, you will not be able to present the final answer to every question that comes to you. Your initial answers will depend on the knowledge that you have at that point in time. And so you should be open to suggestions from others. That is something which you need to convey in the personality test. This is the third point that I've said. There are no final solutions answers. So for example, if they ask you about the Jammu and Kashmir problem, I mean, we have been trying to find the final solution for Jammu and Kashmir problem. There's no final solution. We are moving in a particular direction, and you can mention that this is what has happened, this more can happen. So that's a point of view based on the facts at your command. The other person can say, no, J&K policy is a disaster. The third person may say, J&K policy of the government has been totally successful. So if you say, if it's partly successful or unsuccessful, you have to have arguments, you have to have facts to demonstrate or illustrate the point that you're trying to make. But there is no final answer to that. Most of the issues that afflict the country or the society do not have final solution. If they had a final solution, it would have been found. So it's not been found, and hence the discussion is on. And in that discussion, you cannot appear as a youngster saying that this is the only answer, because there is no the only answer that we have. There are a variety of answers that we are discussing and continue to discuss. So that's what I had to say. All the best to you. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy the next few days that you have before the personality test. Prepare yourself well. Talk as much as you can, because that's the key. Talk to whoever you can, wherever you can, whenever you can, because now you have got to get down to speaking as much as you can. That will give you enormous amount of confidence. The moment you are able to express the thoughts that are coming in your mind fluently, it will give you confidence and you will do well in your personality test. God bless all of you.
StudyIQ IAS, आपका सिलेक्शन हमारा मिशन।
Okay, a very good morning to all of you. I wasn't there in the beginning, but I'm now here to answer your questions if you have. But before we open this session to questions, I would like to reiterate a couple of points that came through in the video that you saw just now. In the end, I mentioned talk, talk, and talk. Yes, you have been writing, you've been reading, you've not been talking much, and it's quite natural. preparing for the mains exam is all about reading and writing. But now personality test is all about speaking, speaking, and speaking. So find time wherever, in whatever manner, speak to someone, whoever you can. So that's very important. Second part is, I had suggested a few drills for you to not merely talk, but talk logically, talk sense, using knowledge. And all this will come through the drill that I've suggested. And I'm repeating it again because to my mind, it's extremely important. Reading one of the articles, editorial articles of a newspaper in front of a mirror is critical, because as you do that, as you practice reading it aloud in front of a mirror, you will find that you will fumble because you've not done that in the past. It doesn't really matter. If you fumble in the beginning, you learn over a period of time and you'll become gradually more and more fluent, provided you are regular in reading the editorial article aloud every day without failure. After reading, keep the newspaper down and speak it out in your own words. This is an extremely important drill. To begin with, you will find it difficult because, as I said earlier, you haven't done that in the past and you are being asked to do now. If you get into the habit of articulating your thoughts as you read, then you will find it easier to speak before the personality test board. The second aspect of improving communication skills is setting up a WhatsApp group. I am informed that WhatsApp groups have already been constituted. Regularity of those group discussions is critical for you performing well during the personality test. The reason why we started these interview guidance program ahead of the declaration of mains result is to give you more time to indulge in both reading the newspaper as well as indulging in these WhatsApp group discussions. Now, these WhatsApp group discussions are helpful in more ways than one. One, of course, it will improve your knowledge on the subject that you will discuss every day. It will help you think logically. It will help you speak logically. It will help you speak fluently. But all this will happen provided you do this regularly. We have been advising, guiding a lot of aspirants during the past few years, and the feedback from them is very clear. Those that indulged in these discussions, those that indulged in these protocols that you've suggested, have done remarkably well. Now, the choice is yours. You've come all this distance, you've done the hard work, and now the last hurdle is before you. If you can improve your diction, if you can improve your communication skills, the chances are that you will do well in your personality test. So I'll stop here. What we will do is, I'll request all of you to open your videos as quickly as possible. All of you, or any one of you who has a question, can raise his or her electronic hand. We'll call out the name. You unmute yourself and ask a question. So can I request all of you to open your videos? That's very important because before the interview board, you're not going to be behind a curtain. You're going to show your faces. So please open your videos quickly. Wonderful. I have two of you, three now, four. Yes. Rest of you, please open your videos as quickly as you can. And then we can carry on the conversation. Good. Can I have some more people opening the videos? It's very simple. There is a reason why I want to see your faces, because the board is going to see your faces and read your faces. I don't know whether you're aware, it is the body language also that is very important, apart from what you're speaking. So I would like to see the expressions on your face as we discuss, as we talk, as we interact. And that's why in all our future sessions, we will insist that you open your videos. If you are diffident and if you don't want to open your videos, I wonder what you're going to do before the board. So open your videos quickly. Now, as others are opening the videos, if you have any question based on the presentation or the video that was there or what I said thereafter, please raise your electronic hand. We'll call out your name and you can ask that question. Now, if you don't speak now, how will you speak before the interview board? There's a chance for you to speak. I want to hear you speak so that I can tell you what's wrong with your speech and what is right with your speech, which you can work on. Yes, we have a name there.
Kshitij.
Kshitij, yes. Unmute yourself, you can ask a question. In the meanwhile, please open your videos, all of you. अगर आप में से कोई हिंदी में अपना साक्षात्कार देगा, तो उनसे भी मेरा अनुरोध है कि अपना वीडियो तुरंत खोलें. Yes, Kshitij.
Hello, good morning, sir, first of all.
Yes, good morning, Kshitij. Please go ahead, ask your question.
Yes, sir, my question is regarding the group discussion that you talked about. That WhatsApp group has been made, and I was added to one of those group of my optional. But regarding the discussion, they have not been yet started. So I was curious that when they will take.
There is some connectivity problem with you, Kshitij, but I have understood your question. You are asking how and when will the group discussion start? So there would be a coordinator of your group. Who's the coordinator of your group? Please unmute, Kshitij.
1 second. I don't think there is a particular name, sir.
If the coordinators have
I
not
will find it out in the group. I will ask the
please
person.
find out. So initially, the drill is as follows. All of you should listen to it. You are not even listening to me, Renu, Manish, दिलीप. आप इंटरव्यू बोर्ड के सामने जाएंगे कैसे जब आप अपनी शक्ल नहीं दिखा रहे हैं यहाँ पर? सोनल, रॉबिन, I mean, I see when the results are out, many people come back to me. अरे सर आपकी बात मैंने मान ली होती तो मुझे 3 नंबर और मिल जाते और 6 नंबर और मिल जाते. वो मुस्कुराहट और वो डिसअपॉइंटमेंट मैंने दोनों देखे हैं. I have been guiding aspirants like you for past 7 years now with reasonable amount of success. Many of them are IAS officers, police officers. लेकिन आप मेरी बात ही नहीं सुनेंगे तो आपने ज्वाइन क्यों किया हुआ है भाई? मैं तो छोटी सी एक बटन दबाना है आपको वीडियो खोलने के लिए. आप वो भी नहीं कर पा रहे हैं. रेनू आप वो नहीं कर पाएंगी. शुभम, मनीष, प्रदीप, if you can't do even this, how will you face the interview board? And what I am suggesting to you. So now listen to this very carefully. These groups have been constituted. Please nod your heads if all of you have been put in a group. Please nod your head. अरे भाई गर्दन हिलाने के कोई पैसे नहीं चार्ज करेगा आपसे. ये बीच में एक रेडमी नोट 8 साहब बिल्कुल लाल शर्ट में बुत बने बैठे हैं आप. अरे आप मुस्कुराए तो जरा. मैं गर्दन, आप अंग्रेजी नहीं समझते तो मैं हिंदी में पूछ रहा हूं. जरा गर्दन हिलाओ. कहते हो हिला दीजिए ऐसे गर्दन. क्या फर्क पड़ेगा उसका भाई? आप सबका ग्रुप बन गया नहीं बन गया है? I am so glad there are more heads shaking now. Right. Now, listen to this carefully. What is the drill? And it is very important. Let me tell you, you will discover it as you go along. मैं आपको पिछले 7 साल का एक्सपीरियंस बता रहा हूं कितना बेनिफिट हुआ है लोगों का. We have got comments from them. The drill is as follows. In the first session that you take, ग्रुप में जो कोऑर्डिनेटर हैं वो कौन से प्रिंसिपल स्पीकर होंगे उनका नाम अनाउंस करेंगे और टॉपिक अनाउंस करेंगे. Is that understood? Please nod your heads, please. Okay. So, time decide करेंगे, टॉपिक डिसाइड करेंगे और लीड स्पीकर डिसाइड करेंगे. उस टाइम पर गूगल के थ्रू या जूम के थ्रू जो भी कन्वीनियंट हो, कोऑर्डिनेटर वो लिंक देंगे. At the time of discussion, the lead speaker will prepare the topic on which he has to speak and speak for 10 minutes. Is this understood? Okay. After the lead speaker has spoken, the other members of the group will comment in 2 minutes each. Is this understood? Then there will be an open discussion. Now, after the discussions are over, the group will decide who will be the lead speaker for the following day. Is that understood? The group will also decide what will be the topic for discussion on the following day. Is this understood? And so on and so forth. Every day you will have discussion. Now, my request to all of and suggestion to all of you is, you will have many more important parties, friends, family events that you would want to attend. But when you attend those events, remember that when you don't qualify, you would have missed an opportunity. So get your priorities straight. Henceforth, your only obsession will be about preparing for the personality test. Is that understood? अरे गर्दन तो हिला दीजिए अमित भाई. अरे थैंक यू अमित भाई. आप कैसे, आप बोर्ड आपसे जब कोई पूछेगा और आप बुत बने बैठे होंगे तो कहेंगे कैसा सिविल सर्वेंट बनेगा ये? जो बात करने आएगा उसको पता ही नहीं लगेगा सुन रहा है मेरी बात नहीं सुन रहा है. This body language is critical. My friends, if you heard me correctly, that was the difference between first year and second year. And I'm talking to you having achieved success in that particular area. And that's what I'm trying to convey to you. आप लोगों ने इतनी मेहनत करके मेंस का एग्जाम दिया है और अब आप मेरी बात ही नहीं सुन रहे हैं, तो बोर्ड को अगर यह आभास हो गया कि आप उनकी बात नहीं सुन रहे हैं, तो क्या आपको नंबर देगा बोर्ड? नहीं देगा ना। लाल शर्ट वाले तो बस सिर्फ मुस्कुराते रहते हैं। जरा बाल वाल कटवाइए अच्छी तरीके से अभी और बात का जवाब दीजिए जो मैं कह रहा हूं। मैं आप लोगों को एंगेज करूंगा कॉन्वर्सेशन में, because interview is not an interview, it's a conversation with the board. I want to have a conversation with you, and that is why I want to see your faces. Amita does not oblige me, Shubham does not oblige me, Manish does not. Please note these names when the results come out. मैं तो अनुभव से बता रहा हूं आपको। मतलब इतना हम अगर किसी से कोशिश कर लेते तो भगवान भी दर्शन दे देते भाई। मैं तो आप ही लोगों के लिए कर रहा हूं, फ्री में कर रहा हूं। ये देखिए, इतना उलाहना देने के बाद आकाश जी, अच्छा आकाश तो हमारे स्टडी आईक्यू के हैं, बाकी अनीता, हिम, शुभम, मनीष नहीं, शक्ल नहीं दिखाएंगे। आप पर्दा नशी बने रहेंगे तो कैसे काम चलेगा भाई? वहां तो नहीं बनेंगे। मैं ये सब चीजें, वी आर गोइंग टू हैव मेनी मोर सेशंस and I'm setting up this protocol for you that I would like to see your faces, and it is for your own good. मुझे अब कुछ नहीं करना, आप ही के लिए मैं देखना चाहता हूं जिससे मैं बता सकूं कि आप अपने एक्सप्रेशंस को कैसे चेंज करें। द रीजन, अरे अमिता जी, आई एम सो थैंकफुल टू यू। आप तो ईश्वर से भी ऊपर निकली। मतलब उन्होंने दर्शन दे दिए मुझे अभी पीछे आके, आपने अभी दिए दर्शन, बाकी तो अभी फिर भी नहीं दे रहे। आगे से आई विल बी टेकिंग सेशंस ऑफ यू। प्लीज नोट that I want you all to open your videos. And there is a reason. There's no other reason except to help you to do well in your personality test. Get into the habit of being able to show your face and express yourself. ये जो आप मेरी भाषा सुन रहे हैं इस समय, ये फिनिश्ड प्रोडक्ट अनिल स्वरूप है, जो मैंने सीखा ओवर पीरियड टाइम। मैं आपको अभी बता रहा हूं, ये करिए, यू विल डू वेल इन पर्सनालिटी टेस्ट। ओके, इज देयर एनीबडी एल्स? वी हैव मोहित। और बोलिए जितना बोल सके भाई, आप लोग बोलेंगे नहीं कैसे काम चलेगा? यस मोहित, गो अहेड, गो अहेड।
सर वेट अ मिनट सर,
प्लीज गो
गुड
अहेड।
मॉर्निंग सर।
मॉर्निंग मॉर्निंग मोहित।
सर मैं एक्चुअली मेरा ये क्वेश्चन था कि जैसे
आपका एक मिनट, आपका माध्यम हिंदी या अंग्रेजी है?
सर इंग्लिश। सर मैं
अरे तो
एग्जाम इंग्लिश मीडियम दूंगा, बट
नहीं
सर
नहीं,
इंटरव्यू मैं हिंदी मीडियम में देने की
हाँ
सोच
वो
रहा हूँ।
ठीक है। देखिए, सोचिए नहीं, आप ये भी निर्णय ले लीजिए आप किस मीडियम में देंगे। देखिए,
यस
आप
सर।
सबसे बिफोर यू कम, यू शुड ईट, ड्रिंक, स्लीप एवरीथिंग इन द लैंग्वेज दैट यू गोइंग टू गिव योर इंटरव्यू। जिस
यस
भी
सर।
भाषा में आप इंटरव्यू देना चाहते हैं, पूरा आपके लिए, आप ये स्वतंत्रता है आपको कि आप कौन सी भाषा में दें। जिस भाषा में निर्णय लीजिए उसी भाषा में पूछिए मोहित।
सर मैं ये पूछना चाहता था कि सर जैसे मुझे ऑटोबायोग्राफीज पढ़ना काफी अच्छा लगता है, तो सर जैसे मेरी जो हिंदी है इंटरव्यू के लिए, तो सर हिंदी मेरी कैसे, उसमें कैसे सुधार करूँ सर, या फिर बुक्स पढ़ने से सुधार हो जाएगी?
आपने मुझे अगर सुना ध्यान से, पहली चीज तो सुनना ठीक से शुरू कीजिए सब लोगों से मेरा। आप सुनिएगा नहीं तो कैसे सुधार बनेगा? मैंने जो वक्तव्य दिया, जो वीडियो आपको दिखाया, उसमें क्या बताया अपनी भाषा को
सर
सुधारने के लिए?
जैसे वो मिरर मिरर में देखकर न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ना, और सर खुद को फिर उसको एक समरी में खुद से बोलना, तो सर यही मैं पूछना चाह रहा था कि एक और बात सर मैं ये पूछना चाह रहा था कि जो बोर्ड मेंबर होंगे सर, वो जैसे ये क्वेश्चन भी पुट करें कि आपने एग्जाम इंग्लिश मीडियम में दिया है बट इंटरव्यू हिंदी मीडियम में,
मैं
तो
इस
सर
प्रश्न
इसका मान लो क्या?
में मैं आपको इस प्रश्न का उत्तर दूंगा। आपके इस प्रकार के समस्त प्रश्नों का उत्तर मैं तब दूंगा जब रिजल्ट आ जाएगा, क्योंकि उत्तर देने से उसका इस समय लाभ नहीं होगा। जो
यस सर।
लॉन्ग टर्म आपको तैयारी करनी है वो
यस सर।
आपको न्यूज़पेपर से करनी है। जो आपके स्पेसिफिक प्रश्न हैं डैफ से संबंधित, उन सबका उत्तर मैं दूंगा आपको। मैं आपको बताऊंगा कैसे उत्तर दिया जाएगा। लेकिन अभी ये जो मैंने आपका सेशन लिया है, उसका प्रमुख उद्देश्य यह है कि जिस कार्य में आपको ज्यादा समय लगेगा, यानी कि अगर आपका उच्चारण सही नहीं है, आपकी अभिव्यक्ति सही नहीं है, उसके सुधार में ज्यादा समय लगेगा, उसका रिजल्ट से कोई मतलब नहीं है। आप उसका सुधार आज से शुरू कीजिए। तो अगर आप प्रतिदिन हिंदी का समाचार पत्र मिरर के सामने खड़े होकर पढ़ते हैं
यस सर।
और अपने शब्दों में बोलते हैं और तीसरा, अगर आप जो ग्रुप डिस्कशन है उसमें भाग लेते हैं तो आपको स्वयं सुधार आएगा, आपको स्वयं अपने आप में कॉन्फिडेंस आएगा। आप ये करके देखिए, ठीक है?
सर, जो सर ग्रुप डिस्कशन है सर, मैंने देखा है वो सारे इंग्लिश मीडियम, मान लो इंग्लिश में ही है सर,
आपका
तो
आपका अलग
उसी में मैं
नहीं,
हिंदी में कंटिन्यू करूँ या सर
आप हिंदी
कोई
में
अलग
अभी
से?
कंटिन्यू कीजिए, आप हिंदी में कंटिन्यू कीजिए, लेकिन एक मैसेज कर दीजिए आप ग्रुप में। अब आप सब लोग जो
यस
रिक्वेस्ट
सर।
कर रहे ग्रुप में मैसेज डाल दीजिए कि मेरा माध्यम हिंदी है, मुझे कृपया हिंदी मीडियम के ग्रुप में सम्मिलित कर लें, हम आपको कर देंगे। शुरू शुरू में ऐसी कठिनाइयां आती
जी
हैं कि
सर।
हमें पता नहीं होता कि आप कौन सी मीडियम में हैं। आपके जो सुझाव हों आप लोगों के, देखिए ग्रीटिंग्स वगैरह को छोड़कर आप अपनी जो सुझाव हैं वो ग्रुप में डालिए, और उसके हिसाब से हम आपकी
यस
गाइडेंस
सर।
प्रोग्राम बनाएंगे, ठीक है? और आपका तो निश्चित
यस
रूप
सर।
से हम हिंदी वाले ग्रुप में कर देंगे, आप चिंता ना कीजिए, हम ढूंढ
यस
लेंगे
सर।
और कौन कौन से हिंदी वाले हैं, उसमें आपको डाल देंगे, ठीक? एनी अदर
धन्यवाद सर।
क्वेश्चन? अनीता?
Hello, sir.
यस
So,
अनीता।
first of all, I'm really sorry. Actually, I was joining the meeting with my laptop and the camera was not working.
नो
So,
प्रॉब्लम,
I've joined with another device so that I can
नो
open up
प्रॉब्लम,
my camera.
प्लीज गो
So,
अहेड,
sir,
आस्क।
yes, sir. So, my question is basically that should we start studying about our state? Like, should we start referring any state particular newspaper right now?
अनीता, अनीता अभी आप, एंड दिस इज एप्लीकेबल टू ऑल ऑफ यू, डोंट वरी अबाउट स्टडिंग टू मच नाउ, यू स्टडीड अ लॉट, अब रिलैक्स कीजिए, आपने बहुत पढ़ लिया। राइट नाउ व्हाट यू शुड डू इज इंप्रूव योर डिक्शन, improve your expression, improve your logical thinking. You know, knowledge has already been tested, so don't worry about it. वो हम आपको बता देंगे, even after the results, if I tell you, you'll have sufficient time to update what you got to do. हाँ, जिस स्टेट में आप रहती हैं, try and brush up your understanding of it, but don't study it. स्टडी का टाइम खत्म हो गया, अब आप एंजॉय कीजिए। You should focus totally on developing logical thinking and expression. Do what I've told you in terms of reading the editorial article aloud, speaking it out aloud, and participating in group discussions, and apart from that, discussing with whoever you can. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
बहुत, मैं आपके कई लोगों के चेहरे पर पेशानी पे परेशानी की लकीर दिख रही है, बिल्कुल नहीं, स्माइल कीजिए और रिलैक्स कीजिए और खूब बोलिए, जितना बोल सकिए बोलिए, और सही बोलेंगे आप तब जब आप यू फॉलो द ड्रिल द टाइम से, बट स्पीक एज मच एज यू कैन, हुएवर यू कैन स्पीक, स्पीक एंड स्पीक। कोई कहेगा ये ज्यादा बोलने लगी है, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, बोलने दीजिए उसको, आपको बोलना है, क्योंकि आपको वहां बोलना है इंटरव्यू में। सो एक्विजिशन ऑफ नॉलेज पे इतना परेशान मत होइए, वी विल प्रिसाइजली टेल यू व्हाट यू गॉट टू डू इट एज द सेशंस गो अलोंग, बट इफ यू डिले योर इंप्रूवमेंट इन कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स, वो टाइम वापस नहीं आएगा। नॉलेज तो एक बार पढ़ के आ जाएगी, बट व्हाट आई हैव सजेस्टेड टू यू टू इंप्रूव योर कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स takes much longer. That's why we are doing it here. And mind you, even if you don't qualify for the interview, this will help you. I have seen so many people succeed in life because of improved communication skills. I have been in service for 38 years. I have seen toppers fail in service because of poor communication skills. They somehow managed it to get into the civil service. So communication skills, which I have suggested, is actually an instrument through which you can succeed. So do that. The focus today is improving communication skills. And as there is no questions, we'll close down soon. I am repeating once again, start your group discussions. If you have any problem with regard to group discussions not starting, message in the group. We will be active. We'll get those people into it. In fact, we will reconstruct groups so that only active people are there in the groups and non-active people go out of the groups. But start group discussions forthwith. You have any problem with group discussions, please mention in the group. Is that okay with you? अरे गर्दन फिर वही, ये विशाल, अरे विशाल जी आप थोड़ा ऊपर नीचे कर दें गर्दन, अरे देखिए आप मुस्कुरा देते हैं तो और ही अच्छा है। और हर्षल साहब बड़े गंभीर मुद्रा में बैठे हुए हैं, दाढ़ी बड़ी बढ़िया है इनकी, हर्षल ही है ना
जी।
बिल्कुल, देखिए इतनी गंभीर गौतम बुद्ध की तरह बैठे हुए, अरे वाह वाह वाह। अभी ले थोड़ा सा, अभी तो मैं समझ रहा था आपकी फोटो है या आप वीडियो पे हैं। देखिए आप लोगों को मैं पुश करूंगा, because if you don't improve your expressions, no matter how great you are, you'll find it, and you will discover that 5-10 marks here and there will make world of a difference. Experience से बता रहा हूं। We have a hand again, Mohit, You want to
Okay.
say something? कुछ कहना चाह रहे हैं आप मोहित?
यस सर। सर
हाँ।
एक्चुअली मैं ये पूछना चाह रहा था, जैसे हम सब यूपीएससी की तैयारी कर रहे हैं, बट सर जैसे फैमिली से भी ये रहता है कि इसमें सक्सेस रेट कम है, तो हमें जैसे सब हमें एसएससी या फिर कोई भी और अदर गवर्नमेंट एग्जाम्स के एग्जाम्स देने चाहिए या फिर नहीं देने चाहिए, या फिर सर इसी पे फोकस रहना चाहिए? क्योंकि सर अगर हम कोई फॉर्म भरते हैं, जैसे एसएससी का भर रहे हैं, तो सर उसका भी जो सिलेबस है उसका थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट पैटर्न रहता है, तो हमें उस पे फोकस करना चाहिए या नहीं करना चाहिए सर हमारी प्रिपरेशन के थ्रू?
देखिए, फिलहाल तो मैं आपसे ये कहूंगा, अगले 1 महीना आराम कीजिए आप,
यस सर।
और अपना एक्सप्रेशन इंप्रूव कीजिए। मैं आपको गारंटी करता हूं, जो आप कर रहे हैं, आपको कहीं ना कहीं अच्छी नौकरी मिल जाएगी अगर आप वो करेंगे, अगर
यस
ये
सर।
मिलेगी। और ये मैं अपने पूर्व अनुभव के आधार पर कह रहा हूं।
यस
जिस
सर।
जिसने अपनी अभिव्यक्ति सुधार ली, जिस जिसने अपनी समझ को सुधार लिया,
यस सर।
आपकी समझ अगर सुधरेगी तभी अभिव्यक्ति सुधरेगी, और समझ सुधर गया तो आप जो पढ़ रहे हैं आपको जल्दी समझ में आ जाएगा। तो
यस
मेरा
सर।
सुझाव आपसे यह है, या आप ये देखिए, एक मेरा वीडियो और है, मैं आप सबको भेज दूंगा, इसको ग्रुप में डाल दीजिएगा।
जी सर।
वो सिर्फ इस पे है, हाउ टू इंप्रूव योर कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स। वो जरूर देखिए आप लोग। उसका कुछ भाग इस वीडियो में मैंने डाला है, लेकिन अलग से एक मेरा वीडियो है, हाउ टू इंप्रूव योर कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स। वो आपको इन एनी केस देखना चाहिए, और जो ड्रिल है वो वही है जो मैंने यहां बताया है, कुछ और चीजें उसमें। उसको अगर आप करेंगे तो आपको अपने आप में कॉन्फिडेंस आएगा, फिर आपको किसी भी परीक्षा में उत्तीर्ण होने में लाभ मिलेगा। ओके,
जी सर, धन्यवाद सर।
राइट। इफ देयर इज नो अदर क्वेश्चन, आगे से जरा थोड़ा तैयार होके आइए और प्रश्न पूछिए भाई। अभी तो आप पूछ सकते हैं, बाकी बोर्ड में तो बोर्ड आपसे पूछेगा क्वेश्चन। अब आपको यह अधिकार है कि आप मुझसे भी पूछ सकते हैं क्वेश्चन, तो पूछिए ना क्वेश्चन। आप चुप। अच्छा चलिए, चलिए, अरे वाह वाह, लाल शर्ट वाले साहब, आपका प्रश्न तो हम छोड़ ही नहीं सकते। क्या नाम है इनका?
सर
सर गुड आफ्टरनून सर।
गुड आफ्टरनून रडमी जी, आपका नाम क्या है?
सर राहुल बसेने सर।
राहुल वाशने?
यस सर, बसेने सर।
हाँ, बताइए राहुल जी।
सर वो ग्रुप जो आपने बताया सर, वो ग्रुप में मैं ज्वाइन नहीं हूँ सर।
आप ज्वाइन नहीं है? आप हम
यस सर।
बड़े वाले ग्रुप में हैं, या आप ग्रुप डिस्कशन में नहीं है, या किसी ग्रुप में नहीं है?
सर किसी भी ग्रुप में नहीं है सर।
आप किसी ग्रुप में, आपने मेंस एग्जाम दिया है इस वर्ष?
नो सर, अभी सर मतलब अभी स्टडी कर रहे हैं सर।
अच्छा, तो ऐसा
सेकंड ईयर
कीजिए,
में।
अभी अभी आपके लिए नहीं है। ये जो तैयारी कर रहे हैं, जिन लोगों ने इस वर्ष मेंस एग्जाम दिया है, उन्हीं के लिए है सिर्फ। ठीक है, आपके लिए जो
यस
ग्रुप है वो अलग है, वो आप अलग से मैसेज कर दीजिएगा, उस ग्रुप में डालेंगे। ये ग्रुप उन लोगों का है जिन्होंने इस वर्ष यूपीएससी सिविल सर्विस एग्जाम का मेंस एग्जाम दिया है। ठीक है, हर्षल?
यस।
हर्षल, यस, प्लीज अनम्यूट हर्षल। हर्षल जी, आप अनम्यूट कीजिए अपने आप को।
हेलो
हाँ,
सर।
हेलो, हाँ बताइए हर्षल जी।
हाँ, हेलो सर।
आपकी आवाज, इंटरनेट में प्रॉब्लम है आपकी तरफ थोड़ा सा।
ऑडिबल
नहीं, आप ध्यान से, हम आपको ठीक से नहीं।
फ्रॉम माय फ्रेंड्स, सो आई एम नॉट एट ऑल एसोसिएटेड विद।
सॉरी।
हेलो।
हाँ हाँ, बताइए।
हेलो सर, एम आई
हाँ
ऑडिबल
हर्षल,
नाउ?
ये
Sir,
बताइए।
I was recent. Yes, sir. Sir, I got link of this session recently from a friend, so I don't have any association with this WhatsApp groups and all. So I
अच्छा,
don't know how to join it or from
ओके
where to join.
ओके। हैव यू अपीयर्ड इन मेंस एग्जाम दिस ईयर?
Yes, sir. I have given means this year.
ओके, सो व्हाट आई वुड सजेस्ट इज, हमारा एक लिंक है, वो हम आपको भेज देंगे। उसमें आपको एक गूगल फॉर्म भरना होगा। जब आप गूगल फॉर्म भर देंगे तो हम आपको सब ग्रुप्स में डाल देंगे। ठीक है?
सर मैसेज में,
हाँ,
देखें मैसेज में सर।
आप ऐसा कीजिए, मैसेज कर दीजिए स्टडी आई क्यू को। आपके पास नंबर है स्टडी आई क्यू का?
सर मैं रिपीट कर, नंबर मेंशन
अगर
कर
आप
देता
नोट कीजिए, आप नोट कीजिए
हूँ।
नंबर।
7982
Okay.
7227।
एक minute, sir.
ओके,
7982.
7982 722762। इस नंबर पे आप मैसेज कर दीजिए। वी विल जॉइन इन
Okay,
द।
sir. Thank you, sir.
आपके कोई और जानकार लोग हो जिन्होंने मेंस एग्जाम दिया एंड दे वांट टू जॉइन दिस ग्रुप, कन्वे दिस नंबर टू देम। और आप लोगों ने तो तुरंत किया ही है, तो आपको नंबर पता है, या आप वो लिंक भेज दीजिए। यू कैन आल्सो जॉइन। The only thing that we expect of you is some seriousness. I'm assuming that you worked hard and appeared in the mains exam. You are all very serious about it. Because we are putting in a lot of effort. This may be a free guidance program, but still we expect a lot of seriousness from those who join us. Okay? Now, since there are no other questions, we'll wind it up. We will take the next session on detailed application form, जिससे आपको थोड़ा हम गाइड कर सकें कि आपके डैफ से किस प्रकार के क्वेश्चंस पूछे जा सकते हैं. We will have a session almost every week with all of you now, and we will look forward to your suggestions on what you want us to do. Of course, we have lined up sessions here till such time that the result get declared. We will be in conversation with you, but we will look forward to your suggestions on what exactly is needed for you. We have some idea, but we'll be benefited by your inputs. Okay? Then all the best. Keep smiling, relax, take it easy, and follow the protocol that we suggest. God bless you.